Welcome. Bring back up my notes. So Russia has gone mad, posing a new invasion on the Ukraine. What will be Russia's next move? The hurricanes brought the predicted destruction of the beaches of Florida, while Julia causes more than 24 deaths in South America. Is there more weather that you should be concerned about? We're going to talk about that today. Elon Musk locks in ownership of Twitter, something I actually didn't believe was going to happen, while Facebook cuts over 100 people who were supposed to start work in the near future. What does this mean for social media? And what will Facebook fall, as I predicted in the past? We can only hope, right? We can only hope. California drought withers away crops, increasing grocery prices as farmers harvest several weeks early in order to beat the withering crops. What does this mean for our food chain? Means a lot going back to past predictions. Is our world collapsing? When could such an event take place? And can or will a world collapse occur? Well, I welcome you to my channel. I welcome you back to my channel. My name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT. And I am here. It is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022, and this is episode number 36 of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time Predictions Updates. Thank you so much for joining me. Moving right along with some tea. Everybody can hear me good, right? Yes. Perfect. Today is October 11th, as you know, a date in which I predicted in the past could bring upon potential huge events. We were hit once again last week by heavy energy coming from solar flares, as we are slowly beginning to inch away from that post-shadow of Mercury retrograde. Hallelujah. My spirit guides tell me that much more is to occur as we approach the coming eclipses on October 25th and on November 8th. These energies will be accompanied by new sun flare activity and energies hitting the Earth with a tsunami-like impact of intense energies. The coming sun flare activity has great potential for affecting electronics and power grids on a much more significant level. This also has great potentials to bring out more truth and help awaken another large mass of people. Hallelujah there. The energies will begin to intensify in 11 days, which will bring us to the date of October 22nd, 2022. That's a whole lot of twos, my friends. Another date in which I also said could bring upon potential huge events. The energies will feel quite wonky from the date of the 22nd, moving forward into that eclipse and lasting through till November 11th. You can also expect big shifts and changes, of course, to occur in our economic markets coming up in November. Not to say that there is not still going to be fluctuations in markets in our current month of October, because there will be. But more importantly, together we must stand and remain calm. We all together must stand and remain calm. Unplug from the fear and know deep down inside that our great divine creator will take good care of us in the future, now and in the future. Always know that. Don't go down any further. We must start by connecting with each other with open hearts and a sense of caring for one another as well, instead of the constant separation of people that the mass media circus works so hard to accomplish. You do not need to be psychic to know or feel that we are heading into a time of great struggles for humanity. And during this time, the darkness wishes to take their next big leap into enslaving humanity on a much deeper level, with their goal to number each and every one of us and chip each and every one of us like they do the cattle and the cows. Together, we have the power to change this world for us, for our children, our grandchildren. But in order to do so, we must come together and stand against the darkness that has brought our countries and this entire planet into the current struggles for both humanity and for our dear Mother Earth. To think all this just happened in just the past 3 years. And therefore, this should assist us in considering what the next 2 years could potentially bring. We must remember that any negative that occurs with our laws, our government, and the constitutional rights is only happening because of one reason, because we are allowing it to happen. And soon, people are going to stop allowing things to happen and stop allowing this evil to continue on our planet. Although we all do feel and practically see a world collapse coming. You feel it, I feel it, we know it, they're talking about it. But what exactly would this entail? What could a collapsing world look like for humanity? It's already happening in many, many places, as we know. Something that we should really all think about very thoroughly and very clearly. About more importantly, the best thing we can do is prepare ourselves with emergency backups of food, water, power, and even considering other sheltering options just in case. I've been warning you about that for years, and in many countries, if they heed the warning, because it's happening, sadly. Before I move on, let me remind you that just because we are coming out of a full retrograde energy shift cycle, that there is still several very significant planets still in retrograde and even going into a retrograde. These astrological events, along with coming sun flare activity, will bring upon change in levels of awakening that would normally occur during a Mercury retrograde and energy shift. But now we can expect some more advances to occur and more events to occur on a much more deeper and much more intense level. This, of course, includes activities with our Mother Earth's plates and extreme weather patterns. I believe some of our most intense months of weather have only just begun in the month of September and will continue through February of 2023. All the more reason to stay tuned every week to my channel, weekly, as I tap into the future with my spirit guides and bring you this weekly information and predictions updates. Again, if you're just joining us, I welcome you back to my channel, welcome you to my channel. If you're new here, you like the content, if you like the content, predictions, prophecy, and truth, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want to be a part of our tribe, hit subscribe. I thank each and every one of my supporters and subscribers, members of our tribe, those who join the community down below, and of course, those on my Awaken Your Spirit support platform on Subscribestar. All those links are right down below in the description. At the top of that description, you are going to find my link to the newsletter, the past newsletter. It's almost due for a new newsletter to go out, but you're going to want to subscribe to that newsletter. So you know where I'm at, what I'm doing, videos you may have missed. I put it all in the newsletter, at least twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month. So check that out. Also, you can find me back on Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Sorry, I just can't help it sometimes. And I think last week's show didn't upload the Rumble correctly, so I'll re-upload that later tonight or tomorrow. And usually I'll download and upload Tuesday's shows onto Rumble for those who are prefer Rumble. So you can always find me there, usually within a day or so after I do it on YouTube. Also, as I bring up every week, be aware of those impersonating me on social media platforms like Instagram, where they take all my pictures and photographs. And here's what you got to do, folks. Think smart. First of all, I am never going to send you a private message, offer you messages from spirits, or ask you for anything through private messaging. The only message you'll ever get from me would be from my office at josephtittel.com. You got to look at, when you see these profiles, at the pictures and look at the date the profiles were created, and the dates of all the pictures are all the same. That's your first key. Whereas I'm not the only victim in this scam of frauds on Instagram. Many others are as well. And it's getting ridiculous to the point that I made my account private and changed the name. And I'm now under Spiritman JT official. And soon, if it doesn't stop, I'm going to leave those platforms, including Facebook, because I about had it with them. We'll talk about that later on today, too. And again, I thank you all, my supporters, and all the chat cash and all the wonderful things you do for me. Did that happen and I missed it? I hope not. Okay, good, perfect. Live chat. Let us move on. So, hey, folks, check this out. This is pretty wild. And I had a video, but I can't really show it to you now. And tonight, I hope to get outside in time to witness this event again. And I now have a little deja vu, remembering that I talked about the moon and the sun moving, not being where they're supposed to be, and so forth, right? So we were outside this past weekend because I have family here, and we were outside, my sister and me, and looking at. I saw it was actually my niece and I saw a little slither of the moon coming up over the mountain. We saw the light, but then we just suddenly saw a slither pop up. Within 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, that moon rose up. I don't know how many feet, but if we were to measure, it rose up high. It went, and we watched it, the moon moving upwards. Thank you, Katrina. Mwah. We saw the moon just moving up faster and faster, and then it stopped and stayed where it was for a while. And it's really bizarre. So I'm going to try to catch that on video again tonight to see if it happens again tonight. Because it happened a couple nights ago. I think it was Saturday night, maybe. Really bizarre. So I wanted to ask you, is the moon moving? It seems to be that way. Did you hear that 5 IRS agents were charged with COVID relief fraud? Yes, 5 IRS agents. And if you're new to the channel and new to the Tuesday show, I go over articles, things that are happening in the world, along with how predictions and prophecies may or may not align with those news events, along with, of course, every week, new predictions and more information on past predictions. So the story alone of the IRS agents being charged with this relief fund fraud shows how corrupt our entire system and governments have become. Now Biden is arming and hiring, 80-some thousand new IRS agents that can carry guns? With that alone, along with everything, we can literally see a disaster following these decisions. And I would be willing to bet that they manipulated the laws already, in the law books already, to prevent trigger-happy IRS agents from being prosecuted. Because, if they're giving them guns, it's going to be a problem. Spirit says that in 2023, the Biden regime will launch a big investigation into several elite and companies who have spoken out in some way against the Biden dictatorship. So we'll know this. So whoever spoke out like that, Mike guy that does the pillows and stuff, how he spoke out and how they literally ripped his company apart. But in this case, Spirit was showing me more of launching investigations and launching, IRS audits. That was the word I was looking for. Audits, yes. So Spirit says in 2023, this is going to be launched. This will become a huge news event. And one of the main reasons will be due to Biden working hard to cover up his own corrupt doings. And that's what they do. We know that, folks. They throw in other stories, and the media circus throws it all and keeps repeating it over and over and over again. Thank you, Jillian, with love and gratitude. So they do that, and they do their events where the flag flies ever so falsely. So take that first word and that last word in that sentence and put them together and flip them around. You know what I mean. Got to watch those algorithms, right? Don't forget to give me a like somewhere along the line to show those algorithms that this is the kind of stuff you want to see on your feed. Hit that subscribe, the bell, and also you get notifications. So yes, let's move on to no one F's Biden. You've heard that, right? That video clip of him saying nobody F's with us or with Biden's. What a joke, right? Well, I have some information about that. There will be one. This is one of many mistakes Biden has made and will continue to make others that will assist in the destruction and collapse of both his leadership and the entire Biden family. If they fail to rig up the next presidential picks in the year of 2024, which Spirit says is still undetermined, because I asked Spirit about that today, and they're like, that's undetermined. So I don't know why it's undetermined, but that's that fight. The light trying to take out the darkness, my friends. That's a fight. So some future events can be predicted, can be shifted. I like many of my predictions, and majority of them not to come true. Things can shift on a daily basis and just within a few minutes. That's one of the reasons they do those events where the flag flies ever so falsely. They can shift and change things because they can tap into the future. If like they do. They probably have the best psychic on the planet working in that underground evil elite circle of evil. But anyway, Spirit said if they fail to be able to rig things in the future, then this is because it's currently undetermined. A new president, especially one on the right side, will work harder on launching a deep investigation on the current administration. Current puppet and his family, something they, but the current puppet in the United States, they're going to have great success in bringing that family down, whoever goes into office next, if they come from the right side. And it's undetermined because I'm trying to get ahead of the game to that year, and the Spirit's not giving me any information on it. So there's so many undetermined things, which means they have this playbook that they use for their dark, evil stuff, and they skip pages or change things. And that also changes and alters our future. Thank you, Jamie S., with love and gratitude. This brings me to the subject of the Clintons. So talking about some corruption there, all right. Well, the current case on trial, I think it's in Virginia, could bring heartaches and stress amongst the Clinton cartel. Remember my past prediction of the Clintons facing court hearings and being called as witnesses as well? Remember those visions I had about that? Mainly Hillary was in those visions. So totally blanked out right. So being called to witness being the main one, but I saw visions of all that which they have gotten away with since Arkansas back in the day when he was the governor there is going to slowly come back to haunt them. I see one of the two Clintons passing away. This is a few years, I believe. I don't feel like this is coming up real soon. I see one of the two of them passing away from ongoing health issues when they begin to face their karma in the spotlight of Americans. So when this all comes to the spotlight, and it's more than just what's happening in Virginia. There's a lot more to come. And when that happens, ongoing health issues, whoever that may be out of the two, will know is going to pass. While it's all being shined the light upon. And again, a lot of this will be determined and shift differently depending on where things go over the next 2 years. So let's talk about sabotage, transportation, and massive strikes. Did you know a long-distance rail service in northern Germany was suspended entirely a couple mornings ago? 2 communication cables had been cut at 2 different places. Now, you remember what I said a few weeks back, that pipelines weren't going to be the only thing sabotaged. That they were going to sabotage a lot of things. I mean, they've been sabotaging our food system, our food chain, everything they can. Well, now they're going to start sabotaging means of transportation. And so going back to what happened in Germany, 2 communications cables have been cut in 2 different places. Security authorities speak of initial indications of possible sabotage, according to Spiegel. That's just a clip out of the article I saw. That's all I have, but I just thought that was an interesting thing to bring to your attention of sabotage, things being sabotaged. And I told you it wouldn't just be oil lines. Now they're hitting communications with trains and such. And this is going to affect communications where we're going to start, and I'm getting this now from Spirit, we're going to start seeing cell phone towers being cut or taken down in some form or another. I don't know where, or I don't know when, because this information is coming to me as I speak to you. That's the good thing about doing this live, is I get more information than what's even in my notes. And that just came to me, so something to keep an eye on. Remember I was talking about bridge collapses a while back and things happening with bridges. I'm sure you all know by now that explosion shut crucial bridge between Crimea and Russia. A major explosion severely damaged the bridge connecting Russia's mainland to the occupied Crimea Peninsula, disrupting traffic on a crucial artery fuel, military equipment, and food to Russian troops fighting to hold ground in southern Ukraine. And in the background, United States, according to what Spirit just said, is putting their nose and doing things where they shouldn't be doing things, including the sabotage of those pipelines. I just heard something earlier today about this was somebody in the government or military saying how there were military helicopters flying over the ocean in the area where that pipeline was allegedly sabotaged. And now they have proof of helicopters being in that area that aren't normally in that area, that are usually parked at a different naval base and never go in that direction. Now, again, that's alleged. I don't know if it's all true or not. But going back to the predictions and the things that I said, it makes sense that they're putting their nose. We already know, like, the whole cartel dictatorship of the United States right now. You shouldn't be surprised by anything, my friends. You shouldn't be surprised by anything. But this goes and aligns with predictions that I made in the past about bridges. And I never thought about in the act of war. I just have visions and I have to interpret those visions. And, I'm not perfect at always interpreting what Spirit's trying to show me. That's why when we do this every week, I get more information, which is awesome. And then we can put pieces together and when things are repeated that I said maybe a year ago, we know we're approaching the time of these events coming true. So that bridge was taken out, but let me tell you what some predictions that revolved around this. Russia also shut all their airports in the south of the country after Crimea bridge blast. So I don't know if I said that. I just have deja vu of shutting down airlines or shutting down airports. This will continue in different places, not just in Russia and such. There is and will continue to be a fall of the world's infrastructures. This includes bridges and limited the world's ability to travel. Anything to limit the world's ability to travel. Or, the common everyday one of us, the elite always have their ability to do what they want and push their carbon footprint and put all that carbon in the air and everything else with their private jets, but we can't. But again, Spirit showed me today that there was going to be a fall of the world infrastructures. It's already happening, including bridges and things that are going to really limit and affect the ability to travel to certain areas or certain places. I saw many railroad lines being destroyed in many actually different forms of destruction, such as weather, war, and sabotage. I see three very important bridge failures or collapses. Three important ones coming that will take out many travel roads for moving. I cannot read my notes today. Jeez, it's been a long day. I'm kind of tired. But anyway, I see a collapse coming that will take out many travel roads for moving goods like food and supplies. So again, three important bridge collapses or sabotages that I say sabotage because of the way Spirit showed me these particular three. There's going to be more than that, but three of them are going to be important for moving goods like food and supplies, kind of like that bridge that between Crimea and Russia. That was an important one that took out the ability for food and water and supplies to go. That's not one of the some of this is happening, like I said, in the Ukraine, as we know, but I see this happen globally. An earthquake will be responsible for the next couple of years, but it's already beginning to happen. And speaking of earthquakes, this is thrown in where it shouldn't be, but I go with the flow, what Spirit shows me. And in that same vision and connection, I saw with earthquakes, a vision of a city being hit so hard that it literally destroys a very important roadway system of bridges, overpasses, and train bridge. So that's a pretty intense earthquake. I mean, it's like all those things. A roadway system, bridges, overpasses, and a train bridge. I don't know where this is. I didn't get clarity as where it was because the vision I had today was of the destruction and shaking, and I couldn't get a focus of where it was. It might link past predictions of earthquakes and such, but we will have to see what the future brings. On the subject still of Russia, did you know that Russia's new top commander, this guy's sick, I did like looked at his picture and got a little bit of a vibe reading from him. And I don't know if Putin knows this or not, but this guy wants his place, wants to take control, wants to be a dictator. The new top commander for Russia has many plans stirring up and stirring around in his head. Sadly, Ukraine will be hit harder than ever in the near future. And we know they were just clobbered past 2 days. I don't know about today, but the previous 2 days. Spirit said they would be hit harder than ever in the near future. So there's another plan in this sick man's head, this new top commander. Remember my past prediction and reading on Putin that said Russia would acquire new land? Remember I talked about that? And they did, but they lost it. But Spirit keeps saying they're going to acquire new land. Lots of new land. So Putin is resurrecting one of Stalin's tactics in the Ukraine. This is, of course, the Washington Post, but I thought it was interesting to bring it up. On September 30th, in an impassioned speech riddled with historic errors, Putin announced Russia's annexation of more than 40,000 square miles of Ukraine, a celebration in Moscow's Red Square, followed by his Russia held fraudulent referendums in the occupied regions to provide a pretext for Putin's announcement. To nobody's surprise, Russian state media reported that all four voted overwhelmingly to join Russia. And I get like a buzz, like false information. I don't know on what part, but I wouldn't go by that. I just thought it was interesting, being we were talking about that country in general. I'm moving on to other countries, and countries that everybody should be worried about is the country of China. China is working very hard to overpower the entire world. And when they do, in their sick minds, they plan on taking over every country. I mean, like literally all their people relocating and moving into countries, and probably them becoming the elite and us becoming slaves or dead. But China's shot at overtaking the U.S. economy is at stake in Xi's next term. And the leader of Xi Jinping, whatever you call him, the whole U.S. economy is at stake in his next term. This is interesting. I thought this was very interesting. At a once every 5-year Communist Party Congress this month, where President Xi Jinping is set to secure rule until the year 2027. Of course, this is one of those articles they don't let you read unless you pay. Bloomberg. But basically, the whole election in the Communist Party is based on Xi Jinping taking the whole economy over, taking over the United States. And they started to do a really good job at it. But my feeling is that China's failing, and their economy is failing just like the rest of the world. And they will not get their way and their plans, according to Spirit. Now, keep in mind that some of their plans are incorporated with the army of darkness, the evil elite Luciferians. But Spirit just said they will not be able to fulfill their entire plan. So some of it they will, but they will not be able to. So that's good to know. But they are the ones to worry about more than anybody, according to Spirit. Let's talk about Iran, because they can cause a lot of problems in the future too. Iran is in bad shape right now, like many other countries. And just recently, there was escalates brutal crackdowns on protesters. I mean, brutal. They probably wouldn't even show this on, hard to find video of this. I found some video clips of it, but I mean, brutal crackdown on protesters going against their leader over there and such. I mean, they're literally just like torturing and probably killing them too. But Spirit said to me today, soon Iran will begin to deal with people fleeing, like immigrants, fleeing the country. As soon as their leader will launch war against his own people before being taken out completely. So what Spirit showed me is that this guy's that's in charge over there is launching a war against his own people. And it seems like that's happening already. Spirit said that that was going to happen, but these brutal crackdowns on protesters, it seems like a war against their own people. It seems like it's happening already. Spirit said that the current leader was actually put there purposely by the elite demon, worshiper lovers to bring down Iran and launch a new type of leadership. I don't know what that is. Probably, again, a dictatorship of some sort that incorporates a lot of other places in the Middle East. But a potential attack may also occur in Iran. I wasn't clear where this attack was coming from or what it entailed, but it felt to me that there's currently, again, things can shift and change, there's currently a very strong potential attack coming in from outside into Iran, an attack on Iran. But again, these people in that country are in bad shape. And remember my past predictions that I think I said the next leader of Iran would be the one to fear, the one that could cause great wars. I don't quote me on that. I don't remember all past predictions, but keep that in mind. Somebody did a chat cash in there. Did I miss that? Hold on. Thank you, Mr. Skylight. Thank you, Mr. Skylight. With infinite love and gratitude. Disney. This got thrown in here. That's the thing. I was really busy. I didn't get to do as much as I normally would do, but I got a good bit for you. And it's not completely in order like it would normally be. But did you hear about Disney? And my predictions about Disney and what goes on within that company and how the evil darkness has infiltrated that company as well. Well, I just thought this was interesting and something for us all to watch out for because Disney is suddenly delaying the movie Blade, Deadpool 3, and Fantastic Four, Secret Wars, and more Marvel movies. Suddenly, Disney has overhauled its film schedule, delaying the releases of Blade, Deadpool 3, Fantastic Four, and again, a few others. As a part of the shuffle, not that we care, we don't care where they're shuffling it to, but they're shuffling. So why are they doing this? I'm not going to read the article. It's not worth it because it's just telling you what they're moving to where and the dates they're moving it to, but there's a shuffle going on. They're all over the place in the Disney Corporation. Think about that. They're shuffling things around shows that if you're shuffled, that means you're disheveled and you're all over the place. I talked about changes in that company along with the big cases and investigations that end up being launched against potential pedophiles within that company. Some of it did occur. Some of my predictions did occur revolved around that. But there's more to come, including another change in their leadership in the near future. 3 shifts of change is what Spirit said. This isn't in my notes. I get this now. 3 changes of power within the Disney Corporation, starting from the top, moving down. I guess that would be the CEO, vice president. I don't know, but starting at the top. Change in leadership. Not that the new person is going to be any better, so they say. Let's talk bugs. Not the kind of bugs to give you the creepy crawlies, but the kind of bugs that invade your system and your immune system. Kind of like the 2020 bug. Did you know that Spirit told me that flu cases coming this winter are going to skyrocket? So Spirit basically put this out not to worry you, but again, to prepare you. Remember, I read to you in the past what the emotional cause of the flu is. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it does have to do with fear. You can find the full description in Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life book. Also, they're going to start coming out, and they're already pushing this, I believe, I don't know, but I feel subvariants of the 2020 bug. And that's where they're going to start shifting and throwing and shuffling that around over the winter months, along with these large breakout of flu cases. Spirit tells me now that they're subvariants. Not that it's a subvariant, I really don't know. Spirit says now that there's gonna be a launch of a different type of flu this year. I don't know what that means. A different type of flu this year that they will likely call a variant, most likely. I'm just guessing on that part. But again, Spirit says to me that there's one coming. So, folks, just keep your immune system up the part. Wash your hands. Be clean. People are like, oh, I take vitamins every day. Actually, you shouldn't take them if you're trying to build up your immune system every day. You take them when you're around people or you start to feel that choppy throat, like you're getting sick. Then you take different vitamins. And I'd love to tell you which ones, but probably not allowed to do that here. So let's move on to weather. But again, be safe this winter, folks. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting, severe, and challenging winter. And again, soon, now that I had my holiday, just came back from holiday today, trying to get my email fixed so that I can send out emails because it's not working. I tried all day, but I'll get it working before I crash tonight. But yeah, let me move on to weather. Did you know that over 50 people are missing and the death toll rises in Venezuela from Storm Julie, Tropical Storm Julie, which kind of aligns with past predictions about the visions of the floods and such. But this is not just Venezuela, but it's South America. Trying to pull up the article here, but it doesn't want to pull up. There it is. Storm Julia kills 25 in Central America as it churns towards Mexico. The death toll from Storm Julia rose to at least 25 on Monday, and with most victims in El Salvador and Guatemala, as the weakening storm dumped heavy rain and wrath in Central America and southern Mexico. And I did see problems in that area, but now Spirit shows me besides that same area where that storm path is, can expect there to be even more severe weather in the future, especially next season, next year is what Spirit said. But even more so, you can find that there's going to be a lot of earth activity with the earth plates in those areas as well, right along the line, Spirit says, of where this storm Julia has gone. And I don't know what that line includes. I'd have to look it up, but we know it includes El Salvador and Guatemala and Venezuela. So 1,000 people were evacuated. This just goes to show that Mother Earth is doing some major cleaning up, which brings me to the subject of tropical storms. Remember I said it would be a season that would hang out for a while, that the whole season, especially tropical season and the hurricane season, not to think it's gone yet, that we're still in it, but I also believe, I said, and if not, I am now, that there would be storms that would hit outside of the season. So season ends, and then we get hit with these big storms. This is just a video. Darn. You're not going to tell me anything. But anyway, AccuWeather is saying that hurricane season is likely to stay quiet for the coming week. Yeah, you think? But I say that it's going to come back again. And I say that that Gulf of Mexico and the United States is still at risk of another storm developing and going up the middle of the Gulf Coast into, I guess, Louisiana and such. That these storms will start to come and strengthen, especially around the time of the eclipses. So remember, I said that in the beginning of the show, that window of time. What did Spirit say? The 22nd of this month, the eclipse is the 25th. 22nd all the way to November 11th. And the second eclipse, I believe, is November 8th. So that whole window of time. Keep an eye out for terrible storms that could be hit. I'm sure I'll get more information about that tomorrow. I mean, for next week's show, not tomorrow. Well, maybe tomorrow. Spirit might tell me tomorrow, but I'll have more information on that for you next week and see what we can tap into in the world of storms. If you remember in the past, I talked about whales and dolphins washing upon the shore, and this being a sign of coming events and major events with the earth as far as earthquakes. Well, sadly, 500 pilot whales died in a mass stranding on a remote New Zealand island. Very sad, actually. And this one was this October 11th. This is today. Hundreds of pilot whales have died after becoming stranded near the shark-infested waters of a remote island chain in South Pacific, according to the rescue teams and conservationists. New Zealand's Department of Conservation told the corrupt news network nearly 500 whales washed up on the Chatham Islands Islands, east of the South Island, main South Island. So again, that's very sad, but I'm going to have to look at this in the map. I didn't have the time to look at it on the map, but we talked about that happening in spirit, saying that there would be several events of animals washing ashore that would indicate a huge coming earthquake that could also unleash a huge tsunami. And that's still going. That happened today. That news, I don't know when that happened, probably not today, but the news story was today on that whole 11 number. And we know all about the 11 and how that can indicate things. Now, so I was just informed too that if you notice, the police, they're not conducting any big busts. Nobody's being arrested. You don't see any big investigations taking place. You don't see any kind of action happening. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you one thing. This indicates that crime is just going to grow in great numbers. It's almost like they're being told not to do it, not to investigate or not to do things. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was very interesting. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Especially if you live in a city, you don't see any big, huge investigation busts happening. So, did you know that a potentially cancer-causing chemical is sprayed on much of America's produce? Did you know that? I'm sure you did. That's why I eat organic. But a cancer potentially, they say potentially cancer causing. They wouldn't say it if it wasn't potential. That means it probably is 100% being sprayed on America's produce. How high is that exposure to you? Herbicides containing glyphosate are sprayed on nearly half of the planet acres of corn, cotton, and soybeans in the U.S. On a daily basis, many people in the U.S. could be exposed to a potentially cancer-causing chemical used in the world's most common weed killers. Data shows that people in the Midwest, parts of the South, and Colorado have the highest exposure. Oh, great. Glyphosate, the active ingredient in many herbicides, has been in use for nearly 50 years. And you wonder why the big C is taking over the planet and killing so many people. But the chemical's health impacts have been heavily debated, with lawsuits arising over allegations that the chemical is linked to the big C. Now, folks, we know it is, and we know that companies like Monsanto, I drew a blank, Monsanto, pay all these companies and they hide it and they keep it down. This is part of what we talked about many, many times in the past of their agenda of global depopulation. And if you listen to that alien dude, what's his name? Elon Musk. Yeah, he's from another planet without a doubt. But I just heard him recently say that the biggest threat in the world right now to humanity is depopulation and fertility falling low. They're not telling you, they're telling you the population's growing, but it's actually shrinking. Yes. Fertility rates dropped. Fertility treatments are at an all-time sky-high rate. I said that would happen. But remember what I also said, that fertility clinics would start popping up like Starbucks. So we'll have to see that come into play. But that's what Elon Musk said. The biggest threat to humans is fertility issues, and people aren't getting pregnant. People aren't able to get pregnant. And now you have so many other things going on in the world with people and confused about who they are, what they're doing, what they want to do. So this is going to put a big dent in the population over the next 20 years. The only good aspect about some of this is hopefully adoption rates, will go up, and more kids that need homes will find good homes. Let's hold that in the light, right? How about this controversy? So Spirit said in the past, and we're going to say it again, that a lot of stuff's going to come out of Hollywood. We've talked about Hollywood many, many times. And I told you, many big stars that are going to shock people with allegations against them. Some that will be guilty of it. Spirit shows me a vision now of somebody being handcuffed. I don't know who it is. Is it Mel Gibson? No. I can't tell who it is. No, he's too scruffy. I'm not good with all those names, but I see someone being arrested and put away. And there's going to be quite a few incidents coming up in the near future of people being prosecuted, investigated, and so forth. But new details emerge about Bill Murray's alleged misconduct. Yes, did you hear about that one? Alleged assault on the set of the movie and debut. I'm sure you heard about this. I'm not going to read the whole article, but Mary gave a vague explanation. I did something I thought was funny, and it wasn't taken that way, which is definitely possible. But I could see that really, high horse energy that he may be on. And if someone says no to you several times, which was Gina Davis, I believe, you take that as a no. But that's mild, Spirit says, compared to what's actually going to happen. And this will just blow right past. So nothing's really going to happen with Bill Murray. If you're wondering about that, it'll just blow past. And it's not really as important, according to Spirit, as the other sick things that are happening within the Hollywood circle. Gina Davis called out Bill Murray for whatever reasons. Interesting. So maybe next week I'll try to get some more Hollywood predictions for you. All the more reason to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to click that like because I love you. Did you know Biden vows consequences for Saudi Arabia after oil production cut? We talked about that last week, and I thought it was 1 million or gallons or whatever. Now it's 2 million. That they're going to stop producing or whatever. Unbelievable. I also talked to you about Saudi Arabia. That's come up a lot in predictions, actually. And potential wars coming out of that. So thank you, Sandra, for your PayPal support and love with infinite love and gratitude. So angered by the kingdom's decision to team up with Russia, President Biden signaled openness to retaliatory measures, including a halt to arms sales and allowing price-fixing lawsuits. Biden vowed on Tuesday to impose consequences on Saudi Arabia for teaming up with Russia to cut oil production. Well, Biden, if you would actually start our oil production back up, we wouldn't have a problem. Why do we have to worry about everybody else? Every country should worry about themselves right about now because you're just going to bring in more war and cause the big great war that's in the prophecies. We don't want that to happen. None of us want that to happen. I don't want to be here for it. That's for sure. But it sure seems like Biden's pushing for that. He really seems to be nudging and really nudging and poking at the bear. And that nudging and poking at the bear is going to piss off that bear eventually. But there's more. I got some more information about that. But I thought that was interesting about Saudi Arabia. And remember, I told you Saudi Arabia may actually end up in military exchanges. I don't know who they're in military exchange with, but they're going to have problems. I said that there would be explosions, and there was one of their refineries or something blew up over there in Saudi Arabia. But there's also a big struggle for the power in the castle, in the palace of Saudi Arabians. And this is where my past prediction will come into play of somebody stabbing the leader or the prince in order to take their power, maybe even the family member like a brother. I don't know what goes on over there or how their whole thing works with their, what do you call it? King, queen, prince, or whatever they have going on over there. Who knows? But that would make sense to my past prediction. So Saudi Arabia lures executives from NEOM with $1 million salary, zero taxes. This was interesting that Saudi Arabia's mega development NEOM is paying senior executives roughly $1.1 million each annually, according to the internal NEOM document, showing how the kingdom is using large pay packages to lure global talent to the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's National Transformation Plan. NEOM is the most ambitious project in the Saudi Arabia and one of dozens of real estate developments and new companies set up to drive Prince Mohammed's social and economic reforms. So they're pushing. So again, that's that current leader and just bad vibes around him. That bad vibes, and I just don't see him around much longer. But I do see, again, military exchanges happening. I don't know how. I also see that they're going to have sabotage too to their oil pipelines or reserves. Remember I had those visions way back that reminded me of Desert Storm when Saddam Hussein cut, knocked open all the pipelines and lit them on fire. Remember that terrible vision? It was a terrible vision that I shared with you all. That pops into my mind now, so I'm thinking that that vision could take place between Saudi Arabia, maybe even Russia. Let's hope it doesn't, because that would be devastating to our to nature, to the earth, and so forth. Let's see. Speaking of gas and all that, in France, you got France in your pants. In France, refinery strike sparks petrol fuel. Crude oil could hit, and here's another one. So yeah, they already have something going on in France with striking, people striking. But remember I told you about massive strikes that were coming, and that would even affect the way our food's transported and so forth. That's why I've been warning you all for the longest time to please stock up, my friends, on food and things that you need. Be smart about it. Anything possible. Don't be one of them ones that's going to run and clean out the grocery store when it's already empty. Be prepared. Sit home, relax while they're all going stir crazy looking for food. Trust me on this one. So far, sadly, it looks right. But speaking of oil, remember I also said that I saw crude oil going up to a potential $150 per barrel, and gas prices going up over $8 a gallon. People said it wouldn't even reach $125 a barrel. Well, crude oil could hit, according to this article, and I'm going to say it's definitely going to hit, $125 a barrel as Russia's reaction to the U.S.-led price cap threatens to squeeze supply, UBS says. UBS expects oil will hit $125 a barrel if Russia reacts to a planned G7 oil price cap as compromised. Russia has said that it will cut its exports if the U.S.-led cap comes in, which would tighten crude supply. And that's what's going to happen. I hate to say it, but that's what's going to happen. Biden just wants everybody to suffer and wants a world war on top of it. Not that it's him, it's the puppets that control the strings, but it's pretty sick. And I don't know how people don't see this. I don't know how, like the common day, I don't care what side you're on. Remember, same bird, right wing, left wing, same bird. And I don't know how people don't see this. There's people that are so blind and so asleep still, but there's many that have awakened. As we get further draws, you're going to see prices going up. That's simple, says Dominic Schneider. And there's that article. Let me go back to my list of predictions here. Oh, wrong page. Yep, that's last week's show. I hope I wasn't reading last week's show. There we go. So remember I said gas would hit $150 a barrel, and they're already saying it's soon going to hit $125 a barrel. Remember me saying that I saw visions of places being as much as $8 a gallon, which I know in other countries it's already happening in that kind of form. Did you hear this new one? Well, now they're saying video games are what's causing young children to have heart attacks. Video games. This is going to be their new one, right? Yeah, their new one. To try to, take away video games or try to point these heart attacks and these health issues and strokes that are happening to these young people on video games. Thought I'd bring that up. I thought it was kind of interesting. And again, strikes. As I said about striking and strikes, we're going to see a lot of this happening, even big school strikes happening more next year. But a large rail union rejects deal making eventual strike possible. The third largest railroad union rejected its deal with freight railroads Monday, renewing the possibility of a strike that could cripple the economy. I told you they wanted to do that. Remember, this all happened, I don't know, it was like a month ago. And then they didn't strike. Well, now it's back on the table again. And again, it's going to cripple the economy. But before that could happen, both sides will return to the bargaining table. About 56% of the voting track maintenance workers represented by the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees Division Union opposed the 5-year contract, which would include 24% raises and $5,000 in bonuses. They ain't gonna get that. Let's hope that they do, though, because if that railroad goes on strike, that's going to be detrimental again to the food chain and the food supply and everything. I mean, I feel like we all know. Watch the videos I did in the past, the Game of Hunger, the one on famine and starvation. Go back and make sure you check out these past videos. Again, subscribe to my newsletter so you know what's going on. Twitter. Let's talk about Twitter. I mentioned it in the beginning, but you remember, Musk acquired Twitter. But remember that Justin Timberlake bought MySpace. Remember that? And, it failed. And Twitter won't fail, but it will eventually change completely. Do not be shocked when you see that the company launches a new paid platform and or incorporate some type of paid system for many of its new and old features. So remember that. That's coming soon. Which takes me back to Facebook. Yeah. Face puke. Meta. Oh, they're not Facebook anymore. I forgot they're Meta. Meta canceled job offers just weeks before international engineers plan to move to London to start new jobs. That's right. International engineers said that Meta pulled their job offers just 3 weeks prior to the start date. One person said he had already given up his job and his apartment to move to London for this role. And, Mr. Mark, CEO, said recently the company would reduce headcount growth and shrink budgets. After you hired those people made changes to their life. What's this say, my friends? This says what I said weeks ago. Facebook is in trouble. Facebook is in trouble. That's why they launched the metaverse, or trying to launch the metaverse, which is a total way of enslaving people and our future children and keeping you locked in your house with a set on your head to turn you into their system. It's the Matrix all over again in reality, though. So I said that Facebook would be hurting, and this shows that they are. In the next few years, Facebook will lose clout and will be caught making desperate moves. Zuckerberg will eventually step down or away, and a future sale will be discussed but will be unsuccessful. Remember, hundreds of people were trampled to death at a soccer game. I didn't get to confirm that, but somebody was telling me that. And I said that there would be a lot of that happening, like that concert that happened and those poor people died. This is at a soccer game, but there's more to come with people being trampled, especially coming up in big season finales or, end of season games. This would be even including United States. And Spirit gives me a sense that there's practically a riot that breaks out over a game, like, say, a football game, or over the Super Bowl or whatever. It probably is the Super Bowl, but something to keep an eye on, folks. Please be safe. Clinton in the courts, the Virginia hearing. I told you about this, I thought already. I think I did. Spirit wanted me to warn you. I'm down to my last predictions, my few predictions I have for you for today. Other predictions, but this is all predictions, no more stories. Spirit warns to be aware of a fake nuclear blast. As the West and the dark army of evil begin to become frightened that they may lose control, there is a plan in their playbook to fly a flag ever so falsely in the way of a fake nuclear blast, a way to instill fear into people and to feed their demon lords. So remember, when and if a great blast comes, it will not be nuclear, even though they wish for you to believe that to be so. This makes sense. Remember, I had visions of a big cloud, mushroom cloud coming. I don't know where this is occurring. This might literally be in the United States, but they're going to make it look like it's, probably blame it on Russia. Why not? But I don't know anything other than that. It might be them. I don't know. Spirit didn't really give me any more clarity on that. Bitcoin is going to rise to between $21,000 and $22,000 before dropping significantly afterwards. I'm not saying that it's going to rise from where it is to that. I'm just telling you what Spirit said, that it will eventually rise 21 to 22,000 and then will drop significantly afterwards, hitting a low of a potential low of 15K by late 2023, maybe even less than that. So this takes me to shortages, and I told you about stocking up and being prepared, not just on food or anything that you may need. Like if you shave every day, you might want to make sure you have some razors or whatever, whatever it is you need. Shortages. Did you see that PC shipments? So if you need a new computer, you might want to look for that too really soon, because otherwise the prices are going to skyrocket, and PC shortages have dropped by 20%. So, that means there's 20% less computers out there in the market. China's very, very angry at America, of course, and American imports cutting shipments of their computer chips. That's a big one now too. And, PC shipments already dropped by 20%, but now China is really angry at the American imports because they cut all these shipments of computer chips. Just another way of poking the bear and poking, what do we call them over there? The snake. That's what Biden's doing there. Really just making them more and more angry. This Christmas will be one of the this is more in the way of shopping, but it'll be the worst on record. While 2023, it won't exist for many folks at all. And this has to do with shopping, that aspect of Christmas, not the true reason behind Christmas and Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. No, people forget about that. No, this is more about shopping, and Spirit said it would be one of the worst, probably most with attendance at church too. Worst. While 2023, Christmas and the whole Christmas thing will die out for most or many folks. This will actually bring more people next year in 2023 to religion. Next year's a 7-year. It's a spiritual vibration. So churches in some areas are going to have sudden growth in attendance come 2023. Spirit said a huge hack is coming, computer hack. I did make predictions in the past of computer hacking and hacking systems, so maybe it'll link back to those. But all I got today is Spirit just simply said a huge hack is coming. Huge hack. Let me see if I can get more information on that now. So one of those hacks has to do with, of course, credit card fraud and credit cards and getting into a bank system. So there's a big hack coming in the way of banking systems. I don't know which one, maybe Discover Card. So that's part of what Spirit shows me. That's one huge attack. But there's also going to be a huge attack on somebody's infrastructure overseas in Europe, which would likely be an attack on somebody's power grid, and maybe even on the processing of oil and oil refineries. But that's a hack attack. And when that happens, we got to go back to my other past predictions on hacking, because there were quite a few of them. So if Spirit's reminding us of that today, I would say that that's right on our doorstep, coming soon to a theater near you. Is the world collapsing? And when could such an event take place? Well, the world is collapsing, but not as fast as everything falling apart overnight. And to answer the question and the theme of our show today, is the world collapsing? Of course it is. Again, Elon Musk even pointed out, as I said earlier, that the fertility rates have dropped and people aren't able to get pregnant anymore. Talk about population control, right? Genetics or diet. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I just totally draw a blank. But yes, it is happening. And when could the whole collapse occur? Well, I told you in the past that, 2023, a lot of collapses are going to happen. 2024 would make the most sense as far as economical collapses are concerned, because that's an 8-year. 2025 at the latest. And a whole collapse of everything, no, I don't feel like that will necessarily happen the way people think it's going to happen. But things are collapsing because a new system's going to go into place. We can only hope that that system is positive, something good, something that is for the good of all, to not be controlled by the elite and these evil government leaders any longer. But all in all, I will continue to say that the year that we need to be most aware of is 2029. I see major things. And in the past, decades ago, Spirit told me that the new earth would be ushered in the year 2032, which means there would have to be some kind of great collapse that would occur prior to that. 2029 would make sense to the beginning of that collapse. especially on Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th on April 2029, when Apophis, the comet, comes by, which is in all the prophecies of the Hopi and the Lakota, the blue star, the blue Kachina, the red star, the red Kachina. Friday, April 13th, 2029. So, collapse is coming, but nothing that you should be fearing. What you should be fearing is nothing but fear itself. You should be preparing, my friends, and preparing the best you possibly can. You've got mail. You've got mail. So, two things. Last week, I forgot about this. I don't know if you can see these flowers over here. This is kind of cool. It's like this pop-out thing that turns into flowers. It's kind of cool. I find it to be very cool. I've never seen them before. Two people sent me that. My friend Donna from back east sent me that. And so did Jamie S. in King City, California. Thank you, Jamie S., for the lovely thought and the card. And then today, I also got this lovely card from Tehran. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And I love that saying. And Tehran said to me, I bought these for you on eBay. So they don't include the extra expansion packs that people could buy separately. Anyway, this is a complete original set from 1995. I hope it helps you to do a reading. I love your work. Enjoy. Love and light, Tehran. Tyron. I'm sorry. I see she puts pronounced down below. My bad. See pronounced down below. Thank you, sweetie. That was very kind of you. She sent me this. The Illuminati. Illuminati cards. And if you're not familiar with Illuminati cards, I know there's got to be more than this because I know the whole complete thing, I think it's 300 and some cards. I don't know how many is here, but there's a lot of cards here. The Illuminati cards predict a lot of future events, and these cards started to go out in 1993 and 1994. So this gives me a lot to work with. So thank you, Tyron. It's also cool that it comes with all the little everything. It comes with everything and directions too. So I can't wait to indulge in this and do a video on you sometime. It'll be a little while because I got a whole list of other things that I'm working on, including an intro to my 2023 predictions, which I hope to have out by the weekend. So now that I'm back from holiday, I can get all these things done after I send out all my emails and everything else. But we will do something on the Illuminati cards without a doubt on the ones that she just sent me. I am so grateful. Thank you. Thank you all so much for the gifts that you send me, the letters that you write me, the comments that you leave me. I am so blessed to have all of you, and I couldn't do this work if it wasn't for your love and support. And this work is important. It's important to be aware so that we can prepare. That's what's important. Unplug from the fear and stay dear to you yourself. Until the next time, I love each and every one of you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, be part of the tribe. Don't forget to hit that like button because I love each and every one of you. And keep your eye out for upcoming videos. Remember, you can catch them on Rumble too, a day or two afterwards. Other than that, celebrate life, celebrate you. Be kind to others as you wish others to be kind to you, because we all know mean people suck. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Spiritman JT signing off, and a namaste to you. Much love, my beautiful friends. Much love.